In this research, we will talk about the well-known personality of December 2025, who got very famous in these few days because of the release of documents of Department of Justice. And this research is quietly reasonable and with the proofs we are sharing a few words and emails and all other released proofs by governments. Let us talk about the film and the seasons, just like we will take example of the Hunger Games. This documentary or research is quite relevant to the movie concept like the Hunger Games, in which the specific class plays the games with the lower classes. Same as if you are watching the movies, then you will understand this documentary very properly and very reliably. So this documentary is totally about the Jeffrey Epstein, who was first of all the physics teacher, and then he associated with many billionaires, political leaders, and many property dealers, and a lot of celebrities, and he engaged and he worked with them for many years. Then he became a billionaire, even though he bought a lot of positions and properties in state of Florida and New Mexico, and even though he bought the Virgin Island, in which he a lot of officials are claiming that he offended these sexual desires. He did his sexual trafficking in Virgin Islands because most of the occasions, most of the proofs that we have got are from the Virgin Island and as well as from his home in Florida. Basically, Jeffrey Epstein was a teacher of physics, and he born in 1953, and he died in August 2019. And during those days, his first conviction arisen in the state of Florida Beach, where he was convicted for doing unreasonable touches to the underage 14 years old girl. And this I'm giving you the references of different news channels and different authentic editorials and opinions which I've got in my research, which I've got in my documentary, and I hope that everything I say in this video will be with the proof and nothing is from my own personal view or personal opinion. First major case of Jeffrey Epstein comes in Florida State Beach, where in 2008 he was convicted for doing something wrongful acts with a 14 years old girl, but the jail given to him and which he pleaded, but his bail was not accepted for 18 months, but he was released after 13 months. So here the public is quite imagining that how he released 13 months even he didn't fulfill his jail time 18 months. Even though the arrangement allowed him to work in the jail for 6 days in a week, and he was allowed, even though Lieutenant and other public journalists and people arises the question that he did something very wrong, but he's still allowed to work in as a reasonable person in the office, even though he's in the jail. So this is very unfair because he should stay in the jail and he should not be allowed to work in the jail for the period of 6 days. Even it is very wrongful for the society of those who are living in lower class or middle class. The main charges of the Jeffrey Epstein arises from 2019, where he in 2019 in July he was flying through his private jet to his home, but the federal prosecutors arrested him and started a trial for him. Even he pleaded and for the compensation for the relaxation, but his bail was rejected. In this bail, in August 2019, in the cell one day in a cell he found dead. Even though all the people get shocked at how he died, even the medical reporter claimed that he died because of suicide. After his death, the federal prosecutors didn't find any proof because he died before the trial. Therefore, they convicted his associate, his girlfriend, long-term girlfriend, and his associate in these sex trafficking. And her name was Maxwell, and she was arrested in 2020, and she was led to jail for the period of 20 years in 2021, where they collected a lot of the information. Then this case went quite silent. After 19 December, when the federal government passed the law by the Congress that there should be a release of all files of the Jeffrey Epstein case, because it was an ultimatum by the federal government, which is signed by Donald J. Trump. All the images and all the emails and all the hard drive materials were released, even though there are a few files which are false and maybe fraudulent or false information, but all were released, which becomes very known in the public because the sex trafficking was quite matchable to those movies, to those speculations which men never faced. And this Virgin's Island, most of the victims were girls, and even though in the last, after the death of Jeffrey Epstein, his lavish properties were distributed between those victims who tried and did the civil suit for the compensation.